You know, it may just be, guys, it may just be because it had that co-op feel a little bit to it that I just can't help but troll. And so
Yes, that's what it is. All right, round 2 goes to me, and we usually do the great game debate, but we got something a little special this time. We've got the second the second of our review and release. So some of you may have known that we sometimes give away a game on this show, and that game is usually won by one Robin Dolcellino, otherwise known as Robin Carroll Dolce. He's not allowed to try to win this game. We're giving away a game. We're giving away a game that we have all played, and this game has been provided to us courtesy of Stonemaier Games. Thank you, Stonemaier Games.
Before you get going, real quick, Robin actually initiated a new rule on the show. We didn't even think out new rules, but we came up with the rule because he won 2 contests right away. We're like, oh, wait a minute, we need to make it so you can only win once every 6 months or a year or something like that.
Yeah. Basically, so everybody watching this that's not Robin, you can win.
It's the Robin rule.
It's an homage to something in radio that they used to call. They would refer to people as prize pigs, people that would try and win a prize every day. Not that I'm calling you a pig, Ryan or Robin. Ryan or Robin.
Who are you?
Ryan Dolcellino.
Maybe it's a new character on the show. Anyway, I'm sorry, John. Continue.
This one. He's like, I'm Ryan.
Well, anyway, some of you may or may not have heard of this game. It is Between Two Cities, which I'm holding a copy right here. You're not going to get this copy. This copy's mine, but you're going to get a copy just like it. And it came out, a couple years ago, and to little fanfare, but everything I'd heard about it was good. But they're trying a new push with it with the Essentials Edition, which adds a few things to it. And we all played it. And right now, we're going to pause for a moment, and you're going to see a brief description of the game. Two Cities is a tile drafting game in which each tile is part of a city. You work with the player on your left to build one city center, while also working with the player on your right to build a second city center. On each turn, you select 2 tiles from your hand, reveal them, then work with your partners to place one of your selected tiles into each of your 2 cities. The first building placed in a city must be placed on an open space on the landscape mat. Additional building tiles must be placed adjacent to at least one previously placed tile. There are 7 unique building tiles, including factories, shops, taverns, parks, and offices. Each different type scores in a different way depending on the surroundings of that tile. There are also bridges on some of the civic centers that will allow you to consider 2 separate tiles as being connected. After 3 rounds of drafting, everyone's city center should be in a 5x5 grid. Each player takes a score sheet and calculates the points for the city to their left and to the city to their right. Your final score is the lower of the scores of your 2 cities. The player with the highest score wins.
Well, that was a great description, John. Short and concise, the way we like it. So now we know how to play this game, but how do our viewers know how to play review and release? How do they win one of these games?
Well, there's only one game, but they can win this game by commenting on this episode 14. If you are subscribed to our channel and you comment on this episode, that's all you got to do. You're going to be registered to win. So there you go, man. What's better than a free game? I mean, we went nuts for half price games. This is a free game. So right. There you go. But we all played it. We're going to talk about it. Chris, what did you think of Between Two Cities?
Man, I enjoyed it. That's a quick answer. To you, Andy. No,
Yep.
I was trying to formulate all my ideas about it. So it really doesn't play. It's one of those games that plays differently than anything I'd ever played before. It's the idea that almost like Tigris or Euphrates, where you're going to be scored based on the lowest of all the things you do. Here, though, you're working with partners on either side of you, building 2 different cities, and like you saw in the little description, and that's just very interesting because you're having to manage the 2. You don't want one get bigger, a whole lot bigger than the other. You're drawing the tiles and trying to manipulate which one's going to help the either. So, and then you got the game math that also changes the way you do your placement a little bit and keeps it kind of fresh, so to speak, and challenging. So, but yeah, it plays everything. It plays differently than anything I played before. It plays great at a large player count, which is hard to do, hard to find. It's kind of the asynchronous play, which is what helps. But there's a lot of things. I'm not sure what it'd be like playing a lower player count. I actually think it could be really interesting, but I'm not sure because we just didn't get a chance to play at a lower player count. But I know for sure it plays a great at a high player count, which is hard to find. And the best part is what we learned from the one gameplay is we played it the first thing of the night, and we were just like ragging on each other and blaming each other for everything the rest of the night. Like if your city didn't do well, it was their fault. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just during the game. It was like other future games. If they did something wrong, well, that's because you stink. And that's the reason I lost and all this different stuff. So it adds a great meta to your game group. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. But one of the new things about the Essential Edition, they kind of updated the art. You know me, I don't really care one way or the other, but based on most people's feelings, I can see where the updated art was useful and was nice. But yeah, production, in my opinion, nice. Tiles were good and everything like that. So I really enjoyed it. What'd you think, Andy?
Well, yeah, and thanks for sharing, Chris, and big thanks to Stonemaier Games for giving us a copy to give away. And I will tell you, though, that I don't want to be the Debbie Downer here, but I didn't care for the game. It was fine. It wasn't torture, but it's not something I really want to do ever again. I'll put it that way. It just felt a little too random to me. It was very light strategy-wise. If I'm going to play that type of game, I'd rather play Seven Wonders. Where there's a little more conflict involved. But I don't even like Seven Wonders, so that tells you something. So it just didn't do it for me. It was fine. It was a way to spend some time and be social and whatever, but it just was a little too light for me, a little too random. And if I'm going to play that game, the only version I'd want to play is the one that is a mashup of that and Castles of Mad King Ludwig called the Between Two Cities of Mad King Ludwig.
Between two castles.
Anyway, the only reason that version is okay is because I can kind of pretend that I'm actually playing Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which is a good game. So there you have it. Wow. Daniel, what about you?
Wow. Well, I will say this game took me by surprise. I tried to keep my ear to the rumors of all the board games out there, and I did not hear a lot of great things about Between Two Cities when it first came out, and I avoided it like the plague. I did not want to play it. I didn't think it was going to be fun. So much to my surprise, when we busted that out, it was a great time. This game had two kind of resonated with me on two levels, and it's in two ways I've already talked about. One was like 1775 Rebellion, where you had to work with this teammate and you really had to discuss what you were going to do, and you had to do that with two different people. So while you had this cooperative nature of it, it didn't feel like a cooperative game because you were still trying to beat that person that you were cooperating with. And I just loved it when there were these moments where you would get a tile that were good in both of your city. You had to say, which city do I think needs this more? And you kind of discuss with your partner and let me hear why you think you should have it. Okay, why do you think you should have it? And it was just a really exciting time. And the other thing that this game made me feel was the puzzly aspect of the Guild of Merchant Explorers. I love anything where you have to try to build a path or a route, or you care about what things are next to what other things and the synergies that those build. It's just, that's like a puzzle in a board game that I enjoy and I love. So I could recommend this game highly. And when you're discussing high player count games like 7 players, often Seven Wonders comes up, and other games I can't think of all of a sudden. This needs to be in the discussion. Between Two Cities is definitely worth checking out. All right, John, what about you?
Well, you know what? I kind of like you, Daniel. I had heard of the game. I actually had never heard anything bad about it, but it just didn't. The title just didn't do it for me. I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, it's something that, whatever. Between Two Cities, I'm thinking it's just doesn't sound like anything I want to play. Had to play it because we're getting this game that we're going to review and give away. Okay, let's do it. I was blown away by this game. The production quality is amazing. The cities look great. The tiles are awesome. The quickness of the play is something that surprised me. I thought it was going to be a long game. And if you're like me, we have like a couple of couples over every month or so. So you're looking for 6-player games, maybe 7 if one of the kids wants to play. Boom. This is a 7-player game that you can play well under an hour. And it's an actual game. It's not a party game. You can always find a party game, but this is a real game with some strategy to it. And Andy was my partner in one of the games that we played. And I'm not sure if Andy really knows the best way to win this game. Maybe that's what was the problem was, because halfway through the game, he's telling me we need to tank this city that we're working on together. And I really don't understand how that's ever a winning strategy, because you want basically the highest and the second highest city and the whole board to be right next to you. Whatever you tank, that's what you're going to score. And if it's lower than everything else, then you're not going to win. So I didn't understand that strategy. So maybe that goes into why Andy didn't enjoy it so much. He might not have had a grasp of how to play this game. But other than that, I really have nothing bad to say about it. That's very rare for me on a game, especially one I wasn't that excited about going in. So, hey, it's all smiles for me on Between Two Cities.
Yeah, Andy absolutely didn't know how to play that game, because
whatever.
In that same match where he was tanking the city with you, his other partner was me.
Was you? Yes.
And I won that game because the city to my right was 76, and the city to my left with Andy was 75. So he was trying to tank the worst of his two cities for reasons unknown.
So it looks like Andy was king making without even realizing that.
Without realizing
king making.
Yes.
You know, it may just be, guys. It may just be because it had that co-op feel a little bit to it that I just can't help but troll. And so
that's what it is.
I think that's what it was. Is I just was like, I wasn't treating the game very seriously because of that.
Yeah. So
I will tell you that one game that gives me a little bit of that feel without being all lovey-dovey co-op-y is Warsaw. I like Warsaw a lot, and it has some similarities. So
I do agree with that. Yeah, Warsaw,
a little bit.
You're confined to a very small space, and you're building that city in that really restricted area. Yeah, no, I definitely get that. And again, that's definitely why I like games, that whole confined space and triggering off combos, which Warsaw does that as well. So that was our review of Warsaw. And no, just kidding.
There you go. Got it all done.
That's
all right. Well, that's what we got to say about that. Is that
so? Yeah, remember, guys,
has everybody said what they wanted to say?
Well, I just want to remind everybody that they can win this game and see for themselves what they think about it. And they can prove me wrong or, validate the other three gentlemen here on the show. All you got to do is comment on this episode 14, and you're entered into the chance to win the very copy that we played together.
In fact, sign it if you want. If you
want to, we might autograph it. I don't know who would want that, but maybe you would. So
if one of our moms wins,
like, subscribe, and comment right here on episode 14.
If you enjoyed what you just watched, click on the embedded video for the rest of the episode.